Christian Mamas. We are three Christian moms with a progressive mindset and loving hearts and minds. We are imperfect humans, but we're all loved in God's sight. At some point, we've all felt like the church and Christianity may not have been for us, but God isn't looking for perfection. He's just looking for you.
We are not experts in Christian theology, and we do not represent any particular Christian faith or church. We are simply here to be authentic, and we hope you join us on this journey. Hello, and welcome back to Messy Christian Mamas. This is Kendra.
This is Kaylee.
And this is Ashley. We're so glad you're here. Today, I'm taking a back seat, and we're going to hand things over to Kaylee to kick us off today. Kaylee, what are we talking about?
We're handing them over to Ashley.
Oh, we are. Okay. Well, I didn't get the memo. Ashley, what are we talking about today? Today, we are talking about Jezebel. So I think it was during the Flying Monkey episode we started talking about Jezebel, and it just like made me start thinking more and more about Jezebel, and just how I've heard that term so many times used in a negative sort of way, but sometimes people reclaiming it. So I just wanted to dive into that a little bit more.
Absolutely. On a very random side note, sorry, already it's starting. I was listening to another podcast, Reddit on Wiki, and they read like Reddit stories, and somebody brought up flying monkeys in a Reddit story, and they were like, oh, you mean like from Wicked? Like from The Wizard of Oz? And they had no idea what you're talking about. I was yelling at my phone.
You're like, I know! That's not I know what it is.
Comment immediately to the link.
That's funny.
Anyway, back to Jezebel.
So what are y'all's first impressions about Jezebel?
I don't know what the politically correct words are to say anymore. I can't say any of the words I would have. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Well, it's like
she gets around.
Well,
Jezebel.
it's like one of these things that she had a lot of stereotypes like said about her, and then you actually like read the story, and you're like, well, it never really says that she cheats on her husband, but they just like put like harlot on her. I love that word, harlot. It's a good word. I don't ever hear it anymore.
Good one.
A harlot. You know, she's like wicked, she's evil, she's manipulative, she's, you know, aggressive. So it's all these like words that society, you know, loves to use for aggressive women.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying that she's a good person. She's not a great person.
Well, and I'll be honest, I didn't really know the Bible story. I didn't know it until we were diving into it during the Flying Monkeys episode.
Yeah.
And I was
pretty
like,
deep.
oh.
There's layers to her. She's like an onion. She's like Donkey's onion. I knew her because she's the whole like plot device for Elijah's story, which is like one of my favorites.
Right.
So, but I didn't realize it took me kind of rereading it and then really kind of doing my research that I was like, you know, because she threatens to kill him. And he's running away from the kingdom of Israel, so Jezebel doesn't kill him. But that was after he killed the 450 of her priests because he embarrassed them by them not being able to perform the miracle. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I mean, technically, this is Old Testament, eye for an eye. She could have gone for 450 eyes. She was only going for one set. So, I mean, the girl had her rights to be mad, I guess. So,
yeah.
Right. Okay, so you know I love some AI. So that's what I've got from this. All right, so just a little bit of an overview of who Jezebel was. She was a biblical figure, the wife of King Ahab of Israel, who is portrayed as a strong-willed and influential queen known for her promotion of Baal worship and her conflict with the prophet Elijah. In religious context, the name Jezebel has become associated with a manipulative and wicked woman, often linked to the concept of a Jezebel spirit in some Christian circles, signifying a controlling and destructive influence. So my initial reaction to that is that I feel like any woman of power is usually like shamed for that, and usually just like it's not accepted for having that power. We should do another episode of like someone in the Bible who does have power and is not manipulative. Because it's not that
Sure.
like women can't be manipulative and be evil. Like absolutely that can happen.
Well, and like, what's the difference between influential and manipulative?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, she came and introduced her husband to her gods. So she's a Phoenician princess. So she's being raised in this gorgeous seaside town with all these gods and all these festivities and all these crazy holidays. And then she's basically given to King Ahab to form like this treaty so that Ahab now has access to Phoenicia's ports, and their trade is gonna like really spike up because of it. So she gets sent to Israel, and I'm thinking for a young Phoenician princess who's been raised in a seaside resort town, like Israel probably was boring to her. You know, they worship one
Sure.
god. They're pretty solemn. They seem pretty strict. So she brings her gods with her, and she introduces them to her husband. He could have said no. He didn't have to erect a temple.
Well, I really despise stories, or just in life examples where we remove agency from people.
Right.
Right? We're all adults here. Like, we're all capable of making our own decisions. Like, someone can influence us to do something, but ultimately, like, unless we are enslaved to them in some way or, you know, abused, then yeah.
It's just like killing the vineyard owner. Like those people that she tells to go do that, they couldn't say no. Like they were cronies of hers. They weren't slaves of hers.
Right.
They were, you know, people who were in her court. So it's basically, here we have a woman we have a leader with unchecked power. And I think when you have unchecked power, that is where corruption
anyone.
really happens. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can't think of a single example in history, ancient, modern day, that if you don't have some sort of check on power, if you don't have someone in your court saying, I think you're spiraling, I think you're going a bit too far, like maybe pull it back some.
You know, the saying.
She didn't have any friends. Like it sounds like she just didn't have anyone in her corner telling her, like, you've gone too far. You need to bring it back some.
There's that saying, complete power corrupts completely.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I wanted to look a little bit further into the feminist perspective about Jezebel.
Love it.
Yeah. So I took some women's studies classes in college, and I sort of remember us talking about Jezebel, but not like a whole bunch about the details about it. So I asked ChatGPT about the feminist perspective of Jezebel, and here's what it says. It says, the history of the word Jezebel is layered, evolving from its biblical origins into a loaded cultural stereotype, especially in the context of race, gender, and sexuality. Below is a breakdown of how the word has been used over time. So the biblical origins. The name Jezebel comes from the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament. Jezebel was a Phoenician princess and the wife of King Ahab of Israel. In the biblical narrative, she's portrayed as the worshiper of Baal, a pagan god, a manipulative and wicked queen, an enemy of the prophet Elijah, eventually killed and thrown from a window, her body eaten by dogs, a symbol of divine punishment. I wanted to pause there for a moment because, so I understand that it's not great that she was worshiping Baal and the pagan god, but it was like what she knew.
That's her culture. I
Right.
really, I know.
Right. I
Drives
have
me
such
crazy,
a hard
these
time
stories.
with that.
Because if the Phoenicians were writing the story, then who would the villain be in the story?
Right.
She was kind of anti-Jews, though. Like, she made it very clear that she did not want people worshiping Yahweh. She did not like.
But that was the
Jewish
same way for the
culture.
Jews too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so
they made it very
she's-
clear they didn't want to be worshiping any of the pagan gods too.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of these things where it's like, yeah, I get that's her culture, but now she's the queen in their land, and she's telling them that they can't worship their god. So it's just like any other conquering.
I guess
state,
that's
so-
what I'm thinking. Like, that over all of history, I feel like that's how that works, tends to work.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
they bring
Conquers.
their gods with
Yeah.
them, and say you can't worship your gods anymore. You have to worship our gods.
Yeah. So she was condemned for her defiance, political power, and religious difference, and later interpreted by Christian tradition as the epitome of a seductive and immoral woman. All right, so medieval to early modern Europe, Christian theologians and moralists used Jezebel as a symbol of female lust, vanity, and corruption. Religious heresy, particularly among women, challenging male authority. Jezebel.
How dare she?
I know, right? This is where I'm like,
The gall.
okay. Well, that's okay. Jezebel became a code word for women considered dangerous, heretical, or sexually immoral. So I guess I just have a really hard time about, like, why can't women be sexual?
Well, there's the whole Madonna whore complex.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like you're either a virgin or you're a whore.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no middle ground that is acceptable.
Yeah.
Well, anything outside of being a Madonna is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. I just watched the Pamela Anderson documentary. Have y'all seen that?
Oh my God, I
No,
love
not
her
yet.
So much.
Yeah, it's like, it's so much like this that she just, like, she could not ever break out of that, like, stereotype.
Right.
I love her life right now.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson fell in love with her. They're the cutest couple in the entire world. Oh my gosh, I ship them so hard.
Aw.
They're so cute.
That's funny.
Sidetrack.
Okay, so this is the part that I did not know. So during American slavery, it turns really racist. So a major shift. The term takes on racialized connotations in the U.S. So during chattel slavery in the American South, white society constructed stereotypes to justify the systemic sexual abuse of enslaved black women.
I do remember.
One of the most prominent was the Jezebel archetype, which described black women as naturally promiscuous or hypersexual, unrapeable, making sexual exploitation seem acceptable.
Word.
Mm-hmm. Morally inferior, lacking feminine modesty. So purpose, to rationalize both the brutalization of black women and to contrast them to the ideal of the pure white woman. So I hadn't heard Jezebel used as like a derogatory term towards black women in my lifetime, which I'm glad that hasn't happened to me, but I'm sure it is, like, I'm sure it's prominent, you know, but it's just like something I didn't know about that.
I think at this point, it's kind of gone back full circle to meaning any woman who dares have a voice of her own or owns her own sexuality, you know. But I'm sure if we talk to,
when I hear it,
yeah,
right.
Which is, I don't understand where that comes from in the story, because nowhere in the story does it say anything. The only part is at the end when General Jehu is coming to kill her. She brushes her hair, she puts on kohl eyeliner, and she stands by her window. And a lot of, I guess, theologians and a lot of historians took that as like that was flirtatious behavior, that she was going to seduce him. But then when he shows up, she hangs outside of her window and is sarcastic to him and berates him, which I don't know.
If you like that, that's on you.
I mean, if that's on you, if you like to be told that you're a dog, then I mean, by all means, I guess she was being sexually promiscuous. But to me, that was like when women put on their war paint. Like that is like putting on red lipstick to me. Like she knew she was gonna
like putting
die.
on her power suit.
Yeah, she knew she was gonna die. So I think this was kind of her last stand, and she literally mocks the man that is going to
Murder her.
murder her. And then he calls out to her eunuchs, throw her over the balcony, and they do. And so that's when she's dead on the ground and trampled. And General Jehu then has like a change of heart later, and he's like, okay, we'll go get her. She was a Phoenician princess. I guess we should bury her. But all they have to find is like her skull. Like that's it. And so that's what fulfills the whole prophecy.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, I don't.
There's that whole magazine, Jezebel magazine.
Right.
Remember Jezebel magazine?
I do remember
I don't
that.
think they have it anymore. But like if you were a feminist 16-year-old, you wanted your hands on Jezebel magazine.
Right.
That's why I never thought it was a bad thing until I was older, and then realized, like read the story, and then people said it to me, like I got called it in a not joking way or a not pleasant way. And then I was like, oh, that term's not a great thing.
Yeah, there's so many aspects of the story or the archetype that are just like false.
Yeah. Okay, so then 20th century media and pop culture. The Jezebel stereotype appears repeatedly in films, music, and advertising, often in the form of the exotic, seductive, black or brown skinned woman. I think now it's like maybe just all women, but maybe more. The temptress with a little emotional depth, with little emotional depth. The fast girl. It also shaped representations of Latina, Native, and other women of color, though the term itself remained most commonly associated with black women.
I mean, the hypersexualization of women of color is a very real thing. I feel like women of color now are reclaiming that and are embracing things that make them, that men in society have told them were too much in the past, and they're now reclaiming it as their own. And there's much more of this body positivity, track that's coming, especially from women of color. But you look at, golly, it's disgusting. I was a sociology minor in college, and some of the stuff I had to read, and especially in my gender studies class, I was just sickened by like the propaganda and of just filth of the justification of you just wanting to do a bad thing but make it the other person's fault. Like you couldn't help yourself by having a sexual relationship with your slave that you shouldn't have been owning anyway, because it's her fault because she just has bigger hips.
The idea of being seduced, so ridiculous. I think that is false. I don't think you can just be seduced and you lose all agency and ability to control.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's like this idea now about not teaching our daughters to cover themselves up, but teaching our sons to understand consent.
Right.
I feel like it's the same. I feel like they're connected somehow.
But then still having to walk that line of, I want you to be able to wear what you want. However, there are people out there that
you to be
going
safe.
to respect that, and I want you to be safe. So you still do need to cover. It's this
I think it's
really, really tricky line.
I don't disagree with that. I agree with what you're saying, but I still resent the idea.
Well, and there's the fact that it happens so much more to women than it does to men. Hardly ever have those conversations about consent, but there's conversations all the time about what women are wearing or how they're acting.
I've been seeing a lot more on social media lately too about men being called out as Jezebels, which I find interesting.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Love that.
Right.
I'm sure it's gay men mostly.
Okay, so feminist and critical race scholarship. So from late 20th century to present, black feminist scholars like Patricia Hill Collins, Bell Hooks, and others critically examined Jezebel as a controlling image. I love Bell Hooks, by the way, which is used to justify racism, misogyny, and violence, deny black women's agency and humanity, shape social, legal, and medical responses to black women. I've definitely seen that. Intersectionality helped frame how the stereotype isn't just sexist or racist, it's both simultaneously. So I don't think this was the original purpose of the story in the Bible. I just think this is something that is been taken from the Bible and weaponized.
Oh, just like every other women's story in the Bible. I mean, that's why there are whole devotions against particular women in the Bible, and other women are revered in the Bible. And there are women in the Bible that obviously should be revered, but people, put Mary, mother of Jesus, on a pedestal and then kick Mary Magdalene down in the dirt when she was Jesus's best friend. So it's just because of her background, just because the difference of where they started. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating, especially raising a woman of color, being white, is such a landmine-filled path,
Yeah.
Because I have become so hyper aware of my own privilege
Mm-hmm.
but then I also don't want to be like too woke, and I don't want her to feel like I'm making it seem like I'm martyring myself for her, or that she, I'm going to try to clear the path as much as possible for her. And so it's just really, really tricky, especially given the fact that she does have, these features. She's got beautiful, wild, curly hair. She's got very feminine curves, and it's scary because she's 10. So as a mom of a 10-year-old, I don't want her to be hypersexualized when she goes out. So I am making sure that she is covered, and she's dressing modestly and everything. She wants to wear crop tops, and I'm like, well, I can't control what grown men are going to think about you if you go out there. It's not fair. I'm not saying that it's fair at all, but I'm your mom, and I have to protect you, and I have to get you to the point when you're 21 and you decide to wear that, how you own that decision, but also are able to protect yourself, because there might not be sons around you that were raised to respect a woman's body. So it's just so,
I mean, it's so
frustrating.
fraught. There's such sick people out there that, I don't know. It's so sad.
Yeah.
I am, gosh, you guys know I've been slogging my way through the Old Testament. I'm 24 books in right now in Jeremiah, which, oh my gosh, if you've ever read Jeremiah, like there's some great verses you can pull out of it, but wow, it's a lot of a book, and most of it is really not an enjoyable read. And I would
really
say,
selling it.
of the 24 books out of, I think there's like 39 books in the Old Testament, out of the 24 books that I've read, most of them by a large margin are God being really pissed off about pagan worship of Baal. It's so much of that.
Right.
And, you shall have no other gods before me. Which that's in and of itself a whole other thing, the mention of other gods in the Bible too, which we could get into in another episode. But, I feel like this is yet another story that's another cautionary tale about worshiping pagan gods.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's a whole lot more to take away from it.
Yeah,
than that.
I think that was kind of the main point. Like, if you read the story, that seems to be kind of the main point, because the whole Elijah beating the 450 priests, like, that's kind of like the main, like, thing of the story. Like, that's the main climax action part of the story. So I feel like that's what the writer was really trying to get across. It doesn't matter that Jezebel had 450 priests at her disposal, and they were in a fervor. They couldn't do what Elijah could do in a simple prayer to God. So I think that is the point. But just like so many other stories in the Bible and verses in the Bible, people will cherry pick them to defend their own stances on issues that they feel like they just need a verse,
or they want to use to create control.
A story to have a hammer behind what they're trying to promote or what they're trying to
weaponize.
Say,
yeah. All right, so modern usage and reclamation of the word Jezebel. Jezebel is now widely recognized as a harmful stereotype, but it still persists in popular music and fashion and criminal justice and media portrayals, attitudes toward Black women's sexuality and appearance. But reclaiming the term, some artists, writers, and activists have attempted to reclaim or challenge the narrative by owning sexual agency without shame. I think that's a huge one. I think that, like, to me, like, the criticism of calling someone a Jezebel is saying, like, you cannot be sexual.
Yeah.
Which, like, yes, women can be sexual. It's totally fine for women to be sexual.
It's a polite way of calling a woman a whore. That's what it is. Like, you're just dressing
up. It's the Christian way of calling it a whore.
Yeah, you're just dressing up a word. Like, that's all you're doing.
Right. Now, it's not okay to use sex as a weapon. It's not okay to use sex as, like, a manipulation to somebody. But it is okay for women to be sexual, in my humble opinion. And reframing Jezebel as a figure of resistance or power. So that's what, when I before I knew the Bible story or even thought of it in like the context of the Bible. Like that's what I kind of feel with Jezebel. I'm like, oh, this is just a powerful woman,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, diving deeper into the Bible story, she was a powerful woman and she was manipulative, and that is wrong.
Yeah.
So
Like, I don't want to reclaim it so much that people forget the point of her story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can happen with a lot of these outlier figures in history. You know, people who were passionate and people who did these, you know, big grand things. I think sometimes people can look at the act and try to separate the act from the person and be like, well, this person, look how brave they were. Look how adventurous they were. Like, they still did a bad thing. Like, I mean, I get it,
But did she really manipulate, or did she influence him?
well, she also then, she does tell her cronies to go get this vineyard leader and vineyard owner and kill him, because he won't just give up his field to Ahab. And if he dies, then the field automatically goes to the crown. So
That also doesn't feel like manipulation. That just feels like being in control and being
it was
like
through gossip that she did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She
Okay.
didn't go to like her advisors and say, kill him. She like made up all these rumors
I see.
and like really kind of like worked it. With the Baal thing with her husband, I think it was just like, hey, look how cool my God is. Like,
And
look
he's
how
like,
shiny
oh,
and
that's
gold
kind of
he
cool.
is.
Yeah.
And Ahab was like, oh, I want a big gold temple. That sounds like a great idea. So I don't know if that was manipulation. I think that was more using pillow talk
Yeah,
to
with
get her
video.
way.
Well, I'm kind of thinking too of like a silly analogy. If the rules are changing, in society. So let's say you were playing dodgeball and then you decided to stop and now you're going to play basketball. But she's like, no, I'm still going to play dodgeball. You know, when it's like someone's trying to play basketball, but she's throwing balls at people and hitting them. Like that would
Literally.
not be a good thing.
Icons of ball. That's what she was doing.
Right.
Good analogy. Adam.
Right. Right.
Someone's going to get hit in the head either way. Someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah. So I do think I wish that people would go to the original story in the Bible and not take all this other stuff about it, like using Jezebel as a tool of oppression.
Well, people do the same thing with Eve. They do the same thing with Mary Magdalene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they do the same thing with a bunch of women in the Bible. So
Well, people find endless ways to persecute women who are owning their sexuality.
Yeah. And I feel like this like battle of the sexes. I mean, it's always been around forever, but I feel like it's just getting magnified right now in society. I feel like misogyny is like just growing and growing in popularity, unfortunately. It seems like algorithms through like social media and other things are really like pushing us into these like different corners of like not understanding each other. Yeah, it's not a good thing.
I do like this trend, though, of the way that women are reclaiming their sexuality is by not having sex.
True.
And I love that. Like, our population is on the decline in the United States because more and more people are not having kids.
Right.
Women are saying, like, no, it's not something that I have to do. It's something that if I want to do, I will do. But it's not just my responsibility to populate this nation.
Yeah.
They're getting married much, much older. And you're starting to see this rise of Gen Alpha, Gen Zs, where the average age of losing your virginity is starting to go up for the first time in history, which to me is so, like, as a mom, I'm like, thank God. But like, also as a woman, I'm like, that's so powerful to just turn around and say, like, if you're not going to allow me to be sexual, then you don't get to have it. Like, you don't get to be a part of sexuality. So you don't get to, if you're going to tell me that I can't own being a sexual person in public, then you don't get it in private either. And I think that's such a powerful outlook that I hope doesn't doesn't go too far and like
Right.
start going to the other end, because that's the other thing with trends, that sometimes they go a little bit too far. But I think how powerful it is for a 17-year-old girl, instead of thinking, well, I have to lose my virginity on prom night, is thinking, I don't have to do shit. Like I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. Like I don't have to do that. I can just be myself. I don't have to give into these pressures of a boy. And these girls in their 20s, spending more time with establishing female friendships and developing their
decentering men.
careers and everything, like really centering their lives. When I was young, it was still very much a thing. Like, you're going to graduate high school, you're going to go to college, you're going to meet the man of your dreams, you're going to get married, and you're going to have babies, all by the time you're 30. And if that didn't happen to you, then something was wrong with you. So I think that is starting to shift some. And I'm so grateful that women are starting to, especially young women, are starting to reclaim this. I can be alone. I can be single. I can be
For sure.
a woman. I can be successful. I don't need a man in order to complete my life.
For sure. Well, I think that's why we see also the growth of people coming out too, right? Because women don't just need men for their own sexual satisfaction or their satisfaction in a relationship, right?
And I agree with you that I think it's a powerful thing. This is where my crazy brain goes. I feel like it's like AI, like the machines are like making us go apart from each other so they can take over because we're not procreating anymore. But also, like, I do want like men and women to get along.
Yeah.
I do want us to find a way to like meet and like understand each other better, and everyone have their needs met. It feels like right now everyone's so upset about their needs not being met. It's like, how can we make it different? So
Yeah,
we
but
can
if
meet
you're
each other's
focused
needs?
on your needs and I'm focused on my needs, and we're not willing to share how our needs are going to need to be met.
Right, like
So,
right now it seems like she's focused on his needs and he's focused on his needs.
Yeah.
No one's focused on her needs.
So if,
Yeah.
or you have people that are starting to reclaim. So like communication is key. So if you are meeting someone, this is what I always taught when I worked with Planned Parenthood. I did a sexual ed class, and what I told my girls that would come to that, it was all girls, of course it was. What I told my girls that come to the class, I was like, if you are not comfortable sitting down, looking at your partner in the eye and saying what you are okay with and not okay with,
Then you're not ready.
then you're not ready.
Rep.
And I have said that to young teenagers all the way up to women in their 60s. So if you are not ready to sit down with someone and look them, man, woman, non-binary, whatever, if you are not ready to sit down with your partner and look them in the eye and say, this is what I'm okay with, this is what I'm not okay with, then you don't need to be with that person.
And the wild thing is too, so many women that would sit down with a partner and have that conversation, the partner might assume that they are already a whore because they're able to have that conversation.
Oh,
with so much
I've had that
confidence.
thrown in my face many
Right?
a time. And that's when I'm like, and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So good night.
My only devil's advocate comment to this conversation is I still feel like we should still support women who want to have sexual experiences on their own terms too.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
sure.
it's great that the virginity age is going up as a mother of a daughter as well. Like, I love that from my mother's from a mothering perspective. But I also want women to feel like they can have those experiences without feeling guilty, without having that like Catholic guilt, that religious guilt on them. Like, I know that I did for so long.
I just want safe places for them to be able to have
100%.
them.
I
And
agree with that.
I
And like, what age is it that we are okay with them having freedom?
Well, I think
right?
back. So I think back to when I lost my virginity, and at that point, I thought I was ready. I thought I was able to conquer the world.
Yeah.
I thought I was completely ready for those consequences and responsibilities. I look back now, decades later, and I'm like, you were a child.
Yeah.
You had no idea. You were not ready. You were not prepared for that. And so it's one of these things where I've always been super honest with Charlotte. We've been having conversations about this for years already. But I've always told her that You think you will know, but then you need to think twice, because love and lust do weird things to your brain, especially when you're a teenager, and you think you can handle anything until anything happens. And it's not just pregnancy anymore that these girls and boys have to be nervous about. It's with the social media, it's pictures, it's rumors, it's revenge porn, it's all of this stuff.
All of it.
So, and it's someone you think you love, you don't know that person inside out. So I try to model the behavior, and I try to be as honest as I can, especially with young girls and boys, by saying, like, when you think you're ready, try to have a conversation about it with that person without giggling or, sugarcoating it, or be absolutely honest with that person about what you expect and what you don't expect. It's not sexy. It's not supposed to be sexy. It's supposed to be honest. It's supposed to be real. Your sex is the ultimate showing of your vulnerability. It's the ultimate stripping of your soul, or so it should be. So if you're not ready
to strip be comfortable in obtaining your own contraception.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So many girls depending on I think that is also starting to change majorly, which is great. And I love that.
And sadly, with Planned Parenthood being in the situation that it's in,
I'll be bulk buying mine from Costco, I guess. Yeah. Making sure everybody's prepared.
But yeah,
I got in trouble for in high school anyway, so.
I think my hope is that women have agency over what they want of their lives sexually, whether that means that they want that to be something private they do on their own, whether that means they want to share that with a partner, with a man, with a woman, with someone trans, wherever they want that to fall. I just want them to be able to have what they want on their own terms.
Yeah, sure.
In a way that's safe.
In a way that's safe.
I think that's probably a good place for us to wrap up.
Yeah.
I'll pray.
Okay, thank you.
The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Lord, thank you for making us women. Thank you for making us whole people. Please help all your children to treat women as whole people. It's in your name we pray.
Amen.
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 Thank you for listening to this episode of Messy Christian Mamas. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, embrace the mess, share the love, and shine your light bright, my friends.